we assembled 31 of the best board games to play with your significant other, your significant gaming partner. Doesn't have to be romantic, doesn't have to be platonic. It just matters that they're there. And now we are pitting those 31 games in a battle to the death where only one can emerge victorious. This is the Room and Board Deathmatch, Significant Gaming Partner Edition. The sorts of games that will make them look like this and not like that. If you're new to this, well, let me explain a little how it works as the games, the competitors, the brave competitors, go by my face on the screen right now. As I said, we assembled 31 of the best games to play with your significant gaming partner. These were put forward by some of my patrons, and then all through the month of August, we voted on this or that in a March Madness style bracket, and only one game will emerge the winner as the ultimate game to pick to play with your significant gaming partner. And the idea of this, you'll see with the selection of games as well recommended, the idea is that this is a person who you love spending time with, but doesn't share your vehemence, your incredible fanaticism that you might have towards board games, that I certainly have. I'm always up for anything. You'll have the people who are always up for anything. You know who you are. Probably not good to wink at the camera like that when your significant other is destined to watch this video, but hey, that's okay. You still know who you are. I'm also up for anything, at any time, any place. No, keep it on track. I'm up for anything games-wise, right? I'll happily play anything, but some people have more particular tastes. And speaking as somebody who has been on YouTube and has started to review games and has forced my significant other to significantly play many games that she definitely significantly didn't enjoy, these games are important. These games are important for me to put on her so that she finds the love of board gaming again and we can remain together. And so that's what this is about. That's what this deathmatch is about. Finding out those games and determining what is most likely to hit with your gaming partner. And people kind of on the Discord shared their own experiences about who likes what, why likes what, why likes who. Wait, no, we're getting into a different territory again. But we're going to figure out which of these games is the most surefire hit as we whittle down the competition. And I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this. Hopefully you can use this selection as these are all recommended by people who said, yeah, my significant other loves playing this game. Right? My significant gaming partner will always be down for one of these games. And that's what excites me about this list. But of course, there can only be one. And we're going to find out right now. Drop your guesses in the comments down below. What you think the top 2 are going to be. What you think top 4 are going to be. What you think number 1 is going to be. I'm always curious. I like to see what people are guessing. And I like to include these recaps every month to make sure that even if you don't donate to the Patreon and contribute to the voting, that's completely fine. There will still be these recaps where we can discuss the games and have them for all to enjoy. So first up, hopefully you got your guesses in. First up, let's turn it over to our first matchup, which is Carcassonne versus MicroMacro Crime City. Both of these are, well, I suppose well known to me because I've played them. But if you haven't, here's a brief breakdown. Carcassonne, you're going to be laying tiles out and putting meeples on those tiles. It's an old favorite. It's been around since the year 2000. I feel like it's always lumped in with Catan and Ticket to Ride, also all on this list, as like a really good gateway game. I think there might be better gateway games out there, but maybe this will determine that. It's still a fun game. You're putting a tile down, you're deciding whether or not to claim a spot to lock that meeple in, and then you're trying to complete that thing. If it's a castle, a road, or a monastery, which isn't visible in this picture. MicroMacro is Where's Waldo, the board game. If you get MicroMacro, it doesn't come with these little tokens, but you should absolutely go to a dollar store and get them. It makes it so much more fun. You're going to be uncovering a mystery. You're going to draw a card, and that card will show you a picture of a criminal, kind of. Yeah, you can see the criminal down there. He's walking in his little hat. And you have to find that criminal on the board and then see what happened and kind of trace the story. But where these little tokens come in really nicely is that you can then see the whole story as you're going along. And it's easier to reference back to the spot where you found the little people on the map. It's fun. It's just playing Where's Waldo. You have a little map and you do it best generally with 2 people, I would say. I don't know which one I would vote for here. I think I could probably get somebody involved in the novelty of this. It's a fun activity to do, but it's not something that I would replay. I find Carcassonne fun, and Carcassonne plays best at 2 players, honestly. Although, to be clear, you don't have to only play this game with your significant gaming partner, but they just need to be involved. Oh, there are so many jokes that I can make throughout this video, but we'll try to contain ourselves. Kind of like all the other people who are destined to be involved. Carcassonne doesn't win this matchup, though. Carcassonne ends up burning for all eternity, and it is MicroMacro that moves on in a 21-11 vote. Next up, we have Catan, or Catan if you're nasty. I think it's actually Catan if you're nasty, because people mostly pronounce it Catan, but I learned it as Catan, so that's what we're calling it, because this is my house, versus Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Catan is the stalwart favorite. I don't feel like I need to explain Catan. You've got a beautiful map. Oh, this is a little upgraded version with roads and buildings and a very colorful robber where you roll dice and you get stuff and you make your friends mad when they won't trade with you. It's up against Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, which is the lighter weight version of Gloomhaven. It comes in a smaller box that's right over there, right above my head. This smaller box, which is significantly smaller than anything Gloomhaven has ever done. Was that worth it? Was it worth me standing up for that? Probably not. You can tell it's late in the evening, but then again, it always is around the filming of these. Gloomhaven is a nicer price, has less bloat, gives you the same Gloomhaven style experience, and it gives you that lovely map book, which apparently people hate, according to the comments on some of my other Gloomhaven videos. But I don't. I like it a lot. And I feel like is a really good bar for providing an entry point to the Gloomhaven system and potentially less scary to get your significant gaming partner involved in than something else. Catan also doesn't play at 2 players. It doesn't. But that doesn't matter if you feel like you can potentially get them excited about a game night by pulling out Catan. That's what this significant gaming partner deathmatch is all about. But this vote was very close. There was no Abacus of Terror nonsense, which we've turned into the last couple of death matches. You know what that is. Ooh, guess you're going to have to check out that other content. I went to twirl my mustache, and I miss it. But it came down to 17-16 for this one. It was very close. But unfortunately for Catan and the Gateway games, it's Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion that's moving on, and Catan now burns for all eternity. Moving along, we have Disney Villainous versus Dice Throne. 2 more recent titles, I guess 2018. Last 5 years, though. So not that recent. Both which I feel have similar, some sort of pitches to them. Not feelings, but pitches, because one is very good and the other sucks. Disney Villainous, you take on your own asymmetrical character with your own little player board. You have your own deck of stuff, and basically you're a villain trying to win the movie, your own movie. But as you go along, you're going to be playing your own little villain on a spot on one of these boards. You can't return to the same place, but when you go onto the board, you get to take that action, all those actions. And so you're deciding where you go and trying to optimize playing your own villains and henchmen from your deck to overthrow your particular nemesis. You also can go on these little fate areas where you can draw cards from a person's fate deck and say, haha, you've got more nemesis to face, you've been screwed over. I wonder if you can tell which one I dislike more. Dice Throne, you also have your own asymmetrical player board, but it's a 1 versus 1. It's just a 1 versus 1 game where you're rolling dice, Yahtzee style. You're shaking them up. You're shaking them like any good significant gaming partner will. Yeah, just shaking them. You're shaking them right up. You shake them, you throw them, and see if you have a lovely time. And also, then you can do that 2 to 3 times, depending upon how you're feeling, and then match up one of these abilities and then punch the other person in the face, metaphorically through the game, and try to make sure you punch them harder than they punch you. It's very quick, very fun, just chucking dice, re-rolling, enjoying the back and forth. Now, my girlfriend Renee despises Dice Throne, but I think she would despise Villainous a little bit more. I've played Villainous twice. That's all I think I'll ever need to play it as. I've only played it as group game, so I haven't played it as a 2-player game, and it might feel a lot more satisfying as a 2-player game. But there's also been talk about how it's just unbalanced. Like, if you're the Queen of Hearts, you just win. because it's so easy compared to anybody else. And then you have to know that around the table, and then you have to say, hey, everybody target the Queen of Hearts. So maybe it's better 1 versus 1, and I haven't done that. Could move up in the ranks. But I truly love Dice Throne, but I also will never play this with my own significant other. Like, I can't, because she doesn't enjoy it. We played half a game and she said, this sucks. Please put it away. Stop making me play games I hate. So that was not a success. So this was a very close vote. It came down between 18 to 17. But thankfully, for my own personal preferences, and maybe I can find a significant other that will like this one day, it is Dice Throne that moves forward, and Disney Villainous is put to pasture. Moving along, we have Pandemic Legacy versus Grand Austria Hotel. I adore both of these games. They're both great. Pandemic Legacy puts a new twist upon an already fantastic system where riots and stuff can happen if there are too many outbreaks in a specific city and the viruses mutate over the course of the game. It's very good. If you've ever played Pandemic, you're trying to manage 4 different viruses. And in Pandemic Legacy, it gets crazy. It's so good. Most Legacy games haven't been able to touch evolving nature that this Legacy game presents. However, Grand Austria Hotel is also just a really solid game that I've heard people enjoy more at 2 players because they find it takes a little bit of a long time because there's a snake draft of actions. And so if you have people who are taking a long time, it might be a while till it gets back to you, and then you can't really do anything in between turns. I never felt that. I've only played this once at 4 players, and I've never felt that to me. But basically, you're trying to put out these different guests and put them into rooms on your hotel. You'll grab these guests, you'll fulfill their needs, and your staff will also treat them to any delight that they could offer. You just need to have the right stuff to get them into the room. This episode, I swear. Anyway, both of these are fantastic games. Pandemic Legacy offers the chance to play an evolving campaign like Gloomhaven with your partner. Grand Austria Hotel is just a really solid back and forth. You're rolling dice. You're using those dice to get the best actions. It's just a friggin' fun game. Both are in the top 100 on Board Game Geek. I mean, Pandemic Legacy is number 2 currently. And also, Grand Austria is one that my girlfriend Renee really likes. So naturally, it's the one that loses, and Pandemic Legacy moves on in a 22 to 13 vote. Next up, we have Azul versus Exit the Game. Now we're choosing Exit the Game as though it is an all-encompassing series, and not just this specific one, which is the Secret Lab, which coincidentally is the one that I disliked the most. It's also one of the newest ones, so maybe that's it. Exit are one-time adventures that you can play with your significant gaming partner. They say 1 to 6 players. It says best at 2, and I tend to agree that it is best at 2. In fact, potentially a better time that I've had. We've played through half of this. I got this for Christmas. This is the Escape the Room game, and this is Escape the Room for 2. So we've played The Little Girl, and we're going to play The House by the Lake at some point. Little Girl was very fun. Quite enjoyed myself. And I think I enjoyed it a lot more than the Exit games. However, that's my first Escape the Room, and it could just be that novelty, right? My first Exit game was really fun, and then it kind of lost that novelty for me. Azul, I say all the time, this is my go-to now game for parents who don't like board games. And I feel like significant gaming partners can fall into that category. Somebody who you live with, who you want to play games with, who aren't the biggest fans. This has hit with every single person over 50 that I've introduced it to, or over 60 even, right? In that age range. I'm not telling you how old my parents are. I'm only 12 years old, so they're not that old. Oh, I guess I didn't switch back to the actual. Here's a picture so you can see it, in case you didn't know what Azul is. But yeah, Azul hits like nothing else, has turned non-gamers into gamers. Like, it is such a good thing to be added to this category. I don't know if anybody actually suggested it. I think I might have just put it in if nobody did, because I feel so passionate about it. But it was a close vote. It was 17 to 14 for Azul, and Azul only moves forward by the skin of its teeth. People loving the Exit game. I think the best way to experience them is just like a night with your partner. That seems fun, right? It's a one-time activity. Say, hey, we're going to do this unique thing, see if we can beat the game, and that's always a good time. Well, so Azul moves on, but just barely. Next up, we have the Quacks of Quedelinberg versus Ticket to Ride. I recently played Quacks of Quedelinberg for the first time. It's a very simple game. You've got this little Spinny McGee thing, and basically all you do is you pull tokens from your bag and you move that many spaces along this swirling potion brew. However, if you draw too many white tokens, which you start with, and you don't get points for the round, or you get points but you don't get to add new things to your bag. Super fun game, super simple premise. I don't know how it plays at 2. I played it with 4, and it was nice to see all the kind of chaos happening there. But it's just like, it's so good. This is a game that I desperately want to add to my collection, and I also want to add it with the awesome Board Game Geek bits, which we're seeing right here. It's just, I can't express how fun this game is. It just hits. It's so well done. But it's against Ticket to Ride, which Ticket to Ride is my parents' favorite game. I'd say it's their favorite game. It's the one that they played the most of. They have a bunch of expansions to it. Zug'em Zug. Ticket to Ride, of course, you're playing trains on a map and you're scoring points for them. So even though I love Quacks of Quedelinberg, I wasn't sure how it would hit because a 2-player game of Ticket to Ride is real good. It is, because it's tense and it has a good back and forth, and it hits really well. Like, there's a reason why Ticket to Ride is referred to as a great gateway game, and I would honestly choose Ticket to Ride over Catan or Carcassonne if we're talking about those like bigger 3 gateway games that at least people were recommending to me as my gateway games back in the day. It was those 3 and 7 Wonders and Dominion, right? Those were the kind of most mainstream and most popular back when I got into the hobby. And I feel like the vestiges of that still carry over with the strength of their being in a lot of stores that all the other games aren't. So this is a tough one. It really is. I wasn't sure which way this one was going to go. It's a 20-13 vote to finish it off, and it is the Quacks of Quedelinberg that takes the ticket. It doesn't explode. It keeps moving on, and Ticket to Ride burns up for all eternity. As we move on to our next round, Everdell versus Fury of Dracula. So Everdell is, as of the time of this video, my number 3 game of all time. I love this game. It's so satisfying to me because you're building your own little tableau of cards and you're also putting your own little worker placements out there. I will love any game of Everdell that I play to varying levels, right? It's just phenomenal. My significant gaming partner also likes Everdell. You get this awesome art style. Like, the art here is exceptional. The production design here is exceptional. The little squishy berries, the tree for no reason. It brings people to the table and it gives them something visually stimulating to look at in what could have otherwise been just a solid tableau building game. The art like elevates this beyond compare. Oh, it's so good. Like, literally just looking at the cards makes me smile. It's up against Fury of Dracula, though, which is a 1 versus all game. And typically with those, this is a hidden movement game as well. And so typically with 1 versus all games, I find they work really well as 2-player games, right? You have the 1 and you have the all, and you just have somebody multi-handing all of the all. As long as it's not too complicated to hold on to, I think this is potentially a really good 2-player experience. Some people were talking about the inconsistency of plays that Fury of Dracula offers, and so if it's great, it's great. If it's not, it's really not. And I think with Everdell, I don't know how that could ever happen because it's good. I mean, like, to be fair, if you're playing against new players and you're experienced, maybe it's not as like the pinnacle of everything, but there's still some like exciting moments. The where Everdell can really lose steam is that a player can finish a lot later than other players. And so if you get that and you get somebody who is new to the game, who gets in that situation, you probably won't because it's like an action efficiency thing, right? If you have put out all your workers and you're done, you filled up your tableau, you can pass for the remainder of the round and I can still keep taking turns if I still have turns that I can take. And so generally, because I'm more experienced at the game and I'm pretty good at the game, that happens for me. I have all of these additional actions that I can take and chain together, and I basically just play a little 5 to 10 minute solo game on my own. And so having that, which when you don't hit with that same conclusion, could potentially throw some people off. It doesn't throw me off, and it didn't throw our voters off because Everdell moves forward in a significantly dominant 25-7 vote, but I think worthwhile bringing up to talk about. Next up, we have Splendor versus Three Sisters. Splendor is, I guess Splendor could hit in terms of gateway games. Splendor was one that I found early on in my board gaming experience. Very simple. You can do 3 things on your turn. You can take gems, you can spend gems to take a card, or you can reserve a card so that nobody else can buy that card from you. When you get the card, You get the amount of points up top. First person to 15 points wins. Super quick game. It's a game that Alex Radcliffe over at Board Game Co. says I have ruined for him completely because he likes to buy the level 1 cards, and I've shown him that I can win consistently without purchasing the level 1 cards. And he says, well, that's dumb. And I guess in a sense. But I will say, most of the times that I've been beaten in this game, and they are few and far between, but I have been beaten because people have taken the lower cards and they've developed a really quick engine, and I haven't been able to get that engine with going a slower play. And you can get blocked up gem-wise if people see what you're going for. I think it's an exceptional game. It's up against Three Sisters, which is a roll and write by 25th Century Games, where you are chaining things together and you're growing your 3 different types of vegetables, right? You got to take some shed time and some compost time as you go through, and everybody uses these beautiful pumpkin colored dice to manipulate their garden in various ways. Nope, just kidding. It's up against Welcome to the Moon. Three Sisters is in our next bracket. I just checked my notes. Welcome to the Moon is a big old, another roll and write game, though. This is from the same series as Welcome to, or Welcome to Your Perfect Home, or the neighborhood planning game. But in this one, instead of 1 sheet, you get 8 sheets. You get the same 8 sheets on dry erase boards with enough sheets to play up to 4 people. And you can go through this sort of mini campaign of all these different roll and write puzzles, all coming with the same premise of you're going to flip over 3 cards. They're going to have numbers on them. And you can use those numbers to be placed at certain points in your spaceship. You can see the symbols down below. So you can choose a pair, basically. And this one was a really close vote as well. The regular votes were very close with a slight edge to Splendor. However, there were Die of Chaos votes. When people are undecided, they throw a little Die of Chaos in there saying, I'm happy with either game moving forward. And that can sometimes turn the tide. It is not to turn the tide of this game. It is Splendor that moves forward in a 19-15 vote. But Welcome to the Moon was lauded as being an incredibly high-value package. And I can tell you, an incredibly high-valued package is something that my significant other might be interested in. But not tonight. Tonight, well, tonight it's burning. And Splendor moves on to the next round. Next up, we have Three Sisters versus Cargo Noir. And I was excited about this matchup, I'm remembering now, because I know about Three Sisters. It's been in a few death matches before. We've talked about it now. But I hadn't really heard of Cargo Noir, and somebody put that forward as one of their partner's favorite games. You're smuggling in goods in a 1950s setting, and each turn you're going to sail to various ports where, you know, things can get lost from time to time. They can get lost and they can end up, who knows, maybe in your warehouse, maybe not. Who's to say, eh? So if 2 people are in the port, well, then there might be a bidding war. If it's just you, you can slip a few things under the table without people knowing. But I think, so it seems cool. It seems cool as a bidding game. Just offering bids and offering to make trades with stuff with a lot of negotiation around the table. Plays best at 3 to 4, though, so it's not one that you should play with just a 2-player. I feel like that makes sense. However, it is Three Sisters that do take the matchup in a very solid, it was 18 to 8 when it was called. Now looking back, it's something closer to like 22 to 9 or 10, depending upon how the dice fell. But it is Three Sisters that moves forward, and Cargo Noir, unfortunately, is relegated to being only talked about now and never again. Moving along, we have Kingdomino versus Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Kingdomino, I always state, plays best at 2 players. It plays 2 to 4, but it plays best at 2. And you're going to be creating a 5x5 grid. This looks like a prototype art for it. That's more of a real picture. You're creating a 5x5 grid of dominoes. And the reason why I like it at 2 players is then you create a 7x7 grid. And what's kind of cool about Kingdomino is 4 tiles will be put on offer, and then you have your little people to claim them. But once you've claimed them, then 4 more tiles will be put on offer, and basically the sooner you go, take your tile and put it into your own 5x5 grid, you then get to put your meeple to claim something else. And generally, they're all ranked. So the better tiles, the ones that could get you more points, are going to make you go last in the turn order, so last in the picking the next round. And so if it's something that you're really looking for that's integral to lining up your grid all perfectly, you'll want to be going first. And so having that back and forth feels fun. It's up against Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, which is a deck-building, cooperative fighting game. And I quite like this game a lot. You go through all 7 years of Harry Potter in it, and you fight various villains. And then once you've done that, or you can just do this from the beginning, you mash everything together, and then you can fight various villains and build your own deck on the fly. It's just solid deck building. The villains feel very powerful. I don't really like the card market in this because there's no real way to wipe it. You can do it like once. So if you get a card market that just has a lot of expensive items, especially if you're playing like it all mashed up together, which is the only way I've played it, there's a potential for things to not really work out. But it still is pretty fun and pretty solid. So pretty solid game. This vote was very close. It actually came down to a tie, a 17-17 tie. And the rules of the deathmatch state that in a tie, it is whichever game has the most extra votes that will move forward. So the people who enjoy that game enough that they spend their one extra vote, you get one extra vote for every monthly tournament. And if your game wins and it has your extra vote on it, then your extra vote's considered used. So if you use it on a losing game, you get to keep it, and that keeps the discussion going, keeps people kind of passion moving forward. And it is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle that does come out on top, and Kingdomino burns for all eternity. Probably like J.K. Rowling will. Moving along to the next round, which is Can't Stop versus Nuns on the Run. There's not many things that Renee hates more than Dice Throne, but Nuns on the Run might be one of them. Let's talk about Can't Stop first. Can't Stop, back in 1980, this is by Sid Saxon. It's a very simple game. You've got a grid of these columns, and your goal is to get to the top of 3 columns. If you do, you win. And how do you get to the top of those columns? Well, you roll 4 dice, and you make a little pattern. So here this dice was rolled, and you could move up on the 7 and the 7. You can move up twice on the 7. Or you can move up on the 9 and the 5. But the key is, if you ever roll something that you can't move up on, you'll see you have 3 little discs. If you roll something where you cannot move those discs up, because you can only advance in 3 different columns in a turn. So if you roll the dice and you happen to not be able to use them in a way that moves you up on those 3 columns, well, then you lose all of your progress. So it's a push your luck game. How I like to play this game is just not stop. I just keep rolling. I'll just keep rolling them, see if I can get to the top of 7, 6, and 8. And if I can do that, great. If I can't, we'll try again next turn. It's a stupid way to play it, but it's very fun. Nuns on the Run, you'll either play as the naughty novices who are dodging discovery, or the angry abbesses, I suppose. As the novices, you're going to emerge from your rooms, and you have to get to some place where you have a hidden secret, and then get back to your rooms without the abbesses noticing you. They're going to patrol the hallways. They're going to be looking to see if they spot you. If they round the corner and you're there and they see you, they'll send you back to bed, and you'll lose. If they don't see you, you can run as fast as your heart desires and try to get back into your spot. But whatever card you play will indicate the number of movement that you do, and you'll create more noise, and there's a chance for the abbesses to be drawn to your position. It is Nuns on the Run that beats Can't Stop in a 20-12 vote. Renee says I have to get new Patreon members. I think Nuns on the Run is fun. I liked playing it as a big group because you're racing against somebody rather than in the 1 versus all, because it's 1 versus all, or technically 2 people play the abbesses, I think, at some point. You can have 2 abbesses if you want. But I liked it with more people. But that doesn't mean your significant gaming partner can't enjoy it, which is what happened here, and Nuns on the Run does move forward in a 20-12 vote. Moving along to the last quarter of the bracket, we have Cascadia versus Pan Am. Pan Am looking as though it's a 1980s game, but it's actually 2020. Cascadia 2021, it won the Spiel des Jahres in 2022. It's a very simple game, but has a lovely depth to it. You're going to see these 4 animal tiles out here, these little circles, animal circles, and these 4 landscape tiles. On your turn, you're going to take 1 of each, and they get pulled out randomly, and so those pairs are intertwined, and you must take the same pair and then put it into your grid, creating things that will create the scoring conditions for the specific animals. Very simple. Lots going on in it. Pan Am is a game about spanning the globe, getting your flights in order, outbidding rivals for the lucrative landing rights. There was some love shown for Pan Am, talking about people competing for routes and infrastructure, and ultimately for and against Pan Am gobbling up all the routes themselves. But you know what? It's really hard to take out Cascadia. Cascadia is beloved by so many people. I did a review. I haven't done a review on Cascadia. I have both it and Verdant, and I'm looking forward to playing Calico. I liked Verdant better, and everybody who I played with who had also played Cascadia, my mom and my dad and Renee, they all liked Verdant better as well. But you know who likes Cascadia better than Pan Am? 25-7 people. They love the Bears, and Pan Am, unfortunately, misses the mark and fails to move on. Cascadia moves forward. Next up, we have Exploding Kittens versus Splendor Duel. Exploding Kittens might be a weird pick here. However, again, it's all about bringing people to the table, right? Whatever game gets people to the table and gets you enjoying each other's company, that's the purpose of this deathmatch. And also to burn all of your favorite games and only have one of them. But that's what this Russian roulette game can do. And actually, my brother, who hasn't played a lot of games either, I remember when I was first getting into board gaming, he's like, oh, I played this game, Exploding Kittens, the other day. Oh, man, it was fun. Right? Giving a structure and a framework to your hangouts can be fun. And Exploding Kittens, to its credit, can do that. But it's up against Splendor Duel. Splendor Duel, which has been taking the scenes by storm, so to speak. So if you've played normal Splendor, this will be familiar to you. It's pretty simple, the differences, except there's going to be this big grid, this 5x5 grid, and that's how you can get gems. Gone are the gem delving ways of the past. This time you just take 3 in a row. That's it. That's all you do. Take 3 in a row. But that means that you could take 3 of the same color, whereas you used to only be relegated to 2 of the same color. And then, of course, there's a different breakdown in terms of like level 1, level 2, level 3 cards. There's also some more gems on here. You can see there's a new color. 2 new colors, in fact. These pearls and the other ones. The yellow ones? Yeah, there weren't yellow ones in the first one. And there's just a limited amount. They're used for different things. Get the most cards. You also have 3 victory conditions. First to 20 points. First to 10 crowns. There'll be some crowns on cards as well. Or first to 10 of the same type of card. So it really opens up the possibilities and seems pretty fun to me, honestly. Definitely a close one here. A very close vote. People were swayed, I think, by the appeal of a father and his son saying, it got them into gaming together, and it's honestly, like, awesome. That's why I love Exploding Kittens as well. I love that story as well. But it is Splendor Duel that moves forward in a 14-13 vote. Moving along to Stone Age versus Altiplano. Stone Age, you can play on Board Game Arena. This is how I mostly play in Stone Age, but I've played it in person quite a few times. You're going to have a big old board. No, that's your player board. Where's the big old board? There's the big old board. And you're going to assign workers to a different spot. However, it's not like a standard worker placement game where if you assign people, you get the stuff. No, if you assign someone, you get to roll a dice per worker there, and then you get stuff based around the total sum of the dice. So food, it's pretty easy. Every 2 pips of the dice, you get a food. But gold, every 6 pips of the dice, you get a gold. So if you put 1 person there, you're probably not going to get a gold. But if you put 2 people there, well, then you might get a gold. And so it's choosing how to allocate those workers out there to get resources, to then get a bunch of cards or in a set collection style of game to give you a whole crap load of points. It seems like you should spend your resources on the buildings. You shouldn't. You should spend them on the cards because that's going to make you win the game. Unless you get this building and then you spend 7 gold and then you can get a lot of points for that one. There you go. That's how you win Stone Age. Moving over to Altiplano. Altiplano is a bag building game where this is the first player marker. What more do I need to say? It's Altiplano that moves on in a dominant 15-7 vote on the backs of its mechanics and nothing else. If you want to know about its mechanics, which I know that most of the people who voted for Altiplano don't know anything about its mechanics, it's very similar to Orléans. You can get these different starting tiles, which will allow you to have a unique ability, and then you're going to draw from your bag and play a little resource allocation game on your player board to do things on the main section and get additional stuff. That's what it is. It's moving on. We're going to talk about it more later. Stone Age is dead. And now we move on to our last game matchup of the match. Disney, a Goofy movie game, which actually came out in 2022. It's a very new game versus Bounce Off. And we'll talk about Disney Goofy movie in a second, but I have to talk a little bit about Bounce Off, and I have to make a confession. You might have seen Bounce Off in a few of these death matches before, 1 or 2. Over that time, I don't know if you could tell this, but I've become, I don't know, I've become close to Bounce Off. In fact, we've all become close to Bounce Off. I don't even mind that Renee's been spending so much time with Bounce Off that she won't play any other games. No, I've been spending time with Bounce Off too, and I wanted to announce that in this video. I went to the movies the other night, and it was happenstance, but I happened to sit beside Bounce Off, and we got talking, and we went for ice cream after, and well, it's fresh, right? I don't want to jinx anything yet, but there's something there, there's something wonderful and magical and sensual about all of those beautiful blue and yellow balls. And so with that in mind, I need to maintain objectivity with this tournament. And so it's kind of awkward. Like we already told HR, we filled out a form, we did something to we filled that to HR. HR knows, okay, HR has known for a while. But I love a little BO in my life. And so I must remove Bounce Off from the competition because we're together. When you talk about a significant gaming partner or significant other, there's no other beau that I would like than this beau.
What are you saying there, you hussy?
Well, no, yeah, I mean...
You going off with this Bounce Off?
I really didn't want you to find out this.
Well, that's fine, because I also have an announcement to make. Bounce Off and I...
Okay.
We're
okay, cool. No,
yes, we've been dating for many years. Many years.
Okay.
Behind your back, in fact. And we're going to go off and kiss.
We already signed the
forms don't matter there, Sonny.
Yeah.
You should have checked off polyamory.
Okay, well... I mean, seriously, I can't compete with Maggie. Who am I kidding? So, okay, well, as Bounce Off and Maggie enjoy themselves, we're going to move on to Jaws versus Disney, a Goofy movie game. And what's this? We also have a new competitor. Spy Alley has entered the ring as well. Jaws and Spy Alley taking up Bounce Off's spot. Jaws being the blue balls, Spy Alley being the yellow balls. Spy Alley is one of Renee's, like, unironically, one of her favorite games. And it's so silly, and I said I would include it in this matchup because I forgot to include it where it may have won in the Guilty Pleasures Deathmatch last month, which I am still paying for. So Spy Alley's making an honorable appearance here. I don't even know how to play Disney Goofy movie, I'll be honest with you. I didn't look into it enough. And I was hoping the person who nominated it, Andy, would tell me how it plays so I wouldn't have to look into it. And you know what? Nobody did. Nobody figured it out. Seems like you're going to move around. Here you go. You're going to play cards to collect memories to travel to new locations. That's nice. Roll the die to see if a power line reaches LA or if Goofy takes you on a wacky detour. Okay. And then 3, make the most memories and score the best seats at the concert to win. I don't need to tell you more than that. Moving along to Jaws. Jaws is a game that takes place over 2 acts. The first act, this being Act 2 on the ship. The first act being where you gain different advantages for Act 2, give you an edge, so to speak. And then Spy Alley, which we covered last time, but I'll do it again. You have one of these identities, one of these nationalities, and you need to get all 4 items of that nationality and get to your safe house on the board. But you can also purchase stuff for all the other nationalities, because on your turn you can choose to guess somebody's nationality. And if you're right, they're out of the game. And if you're wrong, you're out of the game. So this person could have been bluffing as the German and hoping someone would guess them so that they would be out. But in fact, they were the German. It is a fun little game in terms of games that you may not know about. Renee loves it, but it doesn't matter because it's Jaws that moves forward in a 13-7-5 vote. Goofy garnering 5 of the votes. And so we're here. We've moved on to our round of 16, and we're starting with the only one that we haven't talked about that earned the bye. It was Wingspan versus MicroMacro. Wingspan should also need no introduction. We're really going to zip through it now as we announce the results and figure out the winner. Wingspan is you create your engine of birds, choosing which of the 4 actions to do, building out your engine that improves the actions that you can do throughout the game. It's an incredible engine builder. It's a real competitor to potentially win this whole thing, and it is moving forward in a 21-8 vote into the next round. Before we move on, here is where everything stands. Are your favorites still in? Let me know. Well, I mean, Wingspan, is going to move on, but you don't know what's going to happen in the next round. The next round, of course, being Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion versus Dice Throne. I don't know what's going to happen here either. I think both have a lot of merits. Gloomhaven representing that campaign, potentially easing your significant gaming partner into larger and bigger games. If you get them on the hook for Gloomhaven, come on. That's the win of the century here. However, Dice Throne is just really fun. The amount of different characters that they have and more are on the way. I don't know which one I would personally... I do know which one I would pick. I would pick Dice Throne if my significant gaming partner liked to play it. We would play it all the time, and honestly, it hurts my heart to say that we don't. But this one was really close. It was 18-17 as a final vote. One of these had more votes going into it, but then the extra votes for the other one put it over the top. It is Dice Throne that moves forward. Gloomhaven is cast to the side. Dice Throne does move forward in the competition. Next, oh man, when you get to hit the round of 16, you get some really good games here. Pandemic Legacy versus Azul in this next matchup. This is tough. This could be a final match, I think. Azul is so good, and it's fantastic at 2. However, the legacy element, also where I thought Gloomhaven would shine, and where Gloomhaven did shine a bit, is very prevalent here. Pandemic Legacy is just such an incredible experience. If you have played Pandemic, and, like, I think Pandemic is okay. I think Pandemic is just fine, and I think Pandemic Legacy is fantastic. So knowing that, if you thought, like, okay, this is okay, Pandemic Legacy takes things to a whole new level and just, like, puts the system exactly where I wanted it to be. I'm very excited to finally finish it, maybe someday. So this is a tough one. It's 16-14 for the winner, and I thought Azul would move forward, but it is Pandemic Legacy that takes the victory and moves forward. It does what Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion could not, and Azul gets knocked out of the competition. Azul that I might have put as a potential winner. I thought Azul would be up there, but it's not to be. Maybe one of these will be. It's Quacks of Quedelinberg versus Everdell. Just two fantastic games. I can't wait to put Quacks into my collection, and the more I play it, I know the more it's going to go up my own esteem. Everdell is fantastic. These are both so good. I can absolutely recommend either of these. However, one had a dominant victory over the other, 22-8 for Everdell. And Quacks of Quedelinberg explode in their own potion of madness. Now moving along to the next round, it is Splendor versus Three Sisters. See, I knew we'd have this matchup eventually. I was just doing a little bit too early. That's all. And this was a close vote. It was 14-13 before the Die of Chaos. But the Die of Chaos honors the result. And it is Splendor that moves forward in a 18-16 vote. I love Splendor. When Renee and I were first dating, we played a game of Splendor. We were out on a date, and then we played another game. We played another game. We played another game. We played like 5 games at this board game cafe, and that was fantastic. It was great. So I'm thrilled to see Splendor move on. Sorry, Three Sisters. Maybe if I tried you, I'd feel differently. Next up, we have Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. That's not a good picture at all. Versus Nuns on the Run. And I expect Harry Potter to win this. I do. A Hogwarts Battle is a really solid deck builder. Nuns on the Run I like with more people. And I think with my significant gaming partner, I would be more focused on the 2-player games. That's not this deathmatch. It's not 2-player games. It's which game will your significant gaming partner enjoy the most? Will they enjoy defeating the Dark Lord Fulgabort? Or will they enjoy defeating the Dark Lord J.K. Rowling? And voting for Nuns on the Run, being a naughty little abbess running around the halls, I think we have our answer. The extra votes and the Die of Chaos want this to succeed. It's a 16-14 vote. Nuns on the Run inexplicably moves forward. Renee will not be happy, but this isn't her death match. It's ours. Speaking of ours, we have Cascadia versus Splendor Duel. Will Splendor Duel manage to also keep moving forward in the way that Parent has done, or will Cascadia keep moving forward as well? Cascadia is just, it's such a beloved game. I can see Cascadia going very far here, especially because the votes are 27-2. And even the Die of Chaos hates Splendor as Cascadia dominates the competition in a 30-3 vote. And finally, we have Altiplano. Again, people aren't definitely just voting based upon this first player token versus Jaws, where you do have a little shark meeple. I mean, come on, did you see that? Did you picture that? Did you see how it works? It looks exactly like a shark jumping up. And I'll tell you, there was a real turnaround here, because the Burn It All movement, for those of you who are unfamiliar, once a month, my violence-craving, bloodthirsty Discord members can vote to burn both games and a new game will emerge from its ashes. That's what's going to happen. They were really pushing for this to burn and to burn, but there were some really passionate alpaca pleas that were sailing around the Discord. And, I mean, like, if you like Orléans, I do like Orléans. I feel like I should pick up this game because it seems really good. I haven't played it either. And so there was a huge comeback. Jaws was in the lead, and the Burn It All movement was trying to overtake Jaws. But instead, passionate pleas from the Altiplano got people to set their pitchforks aside and go over to the Altiplano side. And even some people used their extra votes. And that's why Altiplano is moving forward in a Cinderella story of 19-17. We're at the quarterfinals now, and we're really burning it on, all moving along. We've got Wingspan versus Dice Throne. And this is a tough one. Usually I would think Wingspan would be the auto win, right? But I think Wingspan's been around long enough that people don't like to admit that they like it anymore. You know what I mean? I think it's uncool to like it. However, I was just scrolling through what we were talking about, and there's this awesome app called Wingsong, which I need to remember to download right now on my phone. Oh, cool. Seems like it's free, too. You can scan a bird, and it'll play the birds, like it'll play what they sound like, which is really cool. Like, awesome. What an incredible app. Wingsong. The songs of Wingspan. It's so cool. Such a cool app. I just think the two-player nature of Dice Throne and the ability to bang out a game is so appealing to me, but maybe it's not appealing to people's significant gaming partners. And so one of these does win in a 24-10 vote, and it is Wingspan that's moving forward. Sorry, Dice Throne. I love you lots, but we're destined to never smooch like bounce off, I guess. Wingspan moves on. Moving along to Pandemic Legacy versus Everdell. Let's get the box cover up because it's also beautiful. This is a tough match. Co-op versus no-op. And this was neck and neck for the longest time. Back and forth. But until one of these managed to pull out a 20-14 win. You're right, it's Everdell that takes it out. It doesn't matter that it's co-op. It doesn't matter it's a big campaign. It matters that Everdell is so accessible and has such solid gameplay underneath. It's the sort of thing that tricks you. It tricks you into how much it has going on. It's like Wingspan in that way. That there's so much more going on under the hood than its unassuming demeanor likes to present. And Pandemic Legacy meets its maker. And it's Everdell that moves on. Moving along to the other quarter, we have Splendor versus Nuns on the run, aiming to be into that semi-final game. And there was a big push from the Discord to say that if Nuns on the Run wins, I would do this whole video in a nun costume. And to be honest, I have looked for a nun costume. I have. I haven't found one yet, and I had to make this video. And I'm sorry that I couldn't find one. I would have done it for you all. But just like me not wearing the Klingon outfit, that will have to come in a later video in some unexplained period of time. I guess I'll just link to this video. Say, you want to know why? Go watch a Deathmatch. That's why. Unfortunately, I don't have a nun costume. But fortunately for Nuns on the Run, the dream is still alive that I might have to do it. And Nuns on the Run does move forward in a 20-12 vote, which is so surprising to me. I feel like Splendor's a much better two-player game, and you can bang one out pretty quickly. But that doesn't matter. What matters is this courtyard shaped like a cross, and it's Nuns on the Run that moves forward into the quarterfinals. Finally, the semifinals. Finally, we have Cascadia versus Altiplano's first player token. One of these will move on to the semifinals. One of these will burn for all eternity. Have I given it away by the order in which I've clicked on these? The Llama Gang, the Alpaca Fools, could not rally Mancar the votes. And as much as I love Orléans, even that love can't keep it in the competition. It's Cascadia that blows it out of the water in a 24-7 vote. And we are here with our final four: Wingspan, Everdell, Nuns on the Run. Who would have guessed that? Certainly not me. And Cascadia. Other than Nuns on the Run, we have what I think might be some usual suspects, but it's going to come down to this. First off, Wingspan versus Everdell. Which game is better for a significant gaming partner? Your significant other, which is going to entice them more into playing something with you so you don't have to cry yourself to sleep tonight. And this was really close. It was 17-16 when I called it. When I look back, it's actually 18-16 for the winner. what to say about these games? I know my girlfriend will play these anytime. She loves both of these games. Both of these are very honorable competitors. I can get her to play them at any time I wanted. But one of them is better, according to the masses. And moving on to our finals in an 18-16 vote. I thought Artie was going to jump on the table right at this moment, but he didn't. Doesn't matter. It's Everdell moving on to our finals. Wingspan is burning for all eternity. And it's Everdell that takes the final spot. Moving over to Nuns on the Run versus Cascadia. Nuns on the Run is also the only thing I've seen that links to somebody's personal BGG files. Everything else is like Cascadia images. This is Mandy Lord images. But maybe it's thanks to our Lord and Savior Mandy that we have Nuns on the Run to begin with. We have Nuns on the Run versus Cascadia. I honestly also don't know how this vote's going to go. I expect it will be Cascadia. However, I'm willing to be surprised by the Nuns on the Run contingent who are voting very furiously and have established a foothold in the voting. It's a 13-16 vote. This is not close by any means. And I love when people do funny things. It was very funny to see people just say, Chris will dress as a nun for the whole video, if it happens. Yeah, I'll do anything for you guys. I'm really sorry. I did look. I legitimately looked. And I delayed this to try to get one. But I couldn't get one. Temu sent me some stuff. And that's going to be the sponsor for next week's Crowdfunding Countdown. And that's all I wanted. But I couldn't get it. And so maybe it's fitting that Nuns on the Run falls here to Cascadia in a 16-13 vote. Maybe it's fitting because I let you all down. It's Cascadia that moves forward, and we're on to the final battle, Everdell versus Cascadia. We've reached our finals. Both of these are worthy competitors. Only one will take the win. It was down to a 15-14 vote, but there was one die of chaos. And honestly, I wanted to leave the die of chaos out, but thankfully it rolled for the game that was already leading. I wanted to honor that 15-14 close tie. But it's tough between these two. I mean, I know like my significant gaming partner, who is sitting on the couch eating ice cream instead of feeding our hungry cat. Yeah, you're my significant gaming partner. Well, significant gaming partner is a title much more filled with illustrious esteem than mere girlfriend or partner. It's better than a partner. It's better than a wife. It's better than a girlfriend. It's your significant gaming partner. It's the only thing you need in this world. And one of these games will be the game that you play with that partner next. This is the game, Renee. It's going to happen. It's either Everdell or Cascadia. It's a 15-14 vote, a 16-14 vote in total. One of these games is going to win, and it is not Cascadia, but it is Everdell that takes the win. It took out Fury of Dracula. It blew up Quacks of Quedelinberg's potions right in their faces. It stopped the pandemic. There's no more pandemic. The legacy has ended because of these beautiful badgers. It plucked the wings from the sky and...
Was Nuns on the Run up against this stuff?
Nuns on the Run was in the top 4.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Nuns because they wanted me to dress as a nun.
Do people hate their partners?
It took out Wingspan, and finally it took out Cascadia. All hail Everdell as our glorious winner. That's the death match. Congratulations to Everdell. I love this game. Renee loves this game. We can thankfully keep on playing it and keep on having a relationship because Nuns on the Run didn't win. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you want to participate in the daily votes, you can check it out over on Patreon. We have a Patreon-only Discord. But, of course, I will always create these recaps for everybody to enjoy the action after the fact. Drop down if you thought Everdell was going to win. I thought Everdell was going to win from the get. I played some games with a patron when I was in Halifax, and we played Everdell, and I said, oh yeah, this is winning. This is winning this month's deathmatch. But Cascadia had such a huge run. Like, Cascadia stomped out a lot of things. I thought Wingspan was a really good competitor. I thought Azul could have made it a lot further, too. There was a lot of really great games that I think I would be happy to play, and that your significant gaming partner could enjoy.
Not only did you put Nuns in the running, but you cheated on me in Halifax. With Everdell!
Yeah. No, I just shared the love. which is what it's all about with your significant other, your significant gaming partner. Sharing each other around. That's the moral of this story. If you want to participate in the daily votes, you can sign up for Patreon. But again, don't worry. I'll always do these recaps. Our next month's topic that is currently ongoing right now, we're about halfway through or close to it, is the best solo game of all time. Now, we did one of these in February. This is Solo Redux. Will the same event occur? Will the same games top the charts? Will they even be in the bracket this time? Who knows? Only a select few of you do know, and the rest of you will know at some point in October. But that's what's coming up. If you want to go vote on that, hey, sign up for Patreon. It's like a couple bucks a month. It's like throwing me a quarter for every video that I produce, like the gumball machine of a human that I am. But if not, that's completely okay. I love you all. Thanks for being here. My name's Chris George, and I don't have a catchphrase, but I better pray to God tonight because Nuns on the Run exists, and now I have to fear for my life. You did this to me. Just imagine what it would have been like if I was dressed as a nun right now. Okay, see ya.